Camping Gone Wild. So last summer, my family decided to embark on what was supposed to be a peaceful camping trip in the great outdoors. You know, the usual: roasting marshmallows, telling ghost stories, and finding out whether or not our tent was waterproof. Everything was going according to plan until my brother, who has a more active imagination than most, became convinced that our campsite was under constant surveillance by a gang of bears. Not just any bears, mind you, but the highly intelligent, picnic basket stealing kind that would make Yogi Bear look like an amateur. My brother, fueled by a combination of too much caffeine and an overactive mind, decided that the only logical course of action was to construct a bear trap. "It's for our own safety," he insisted, as he gathered ropes, sticks, and pretty much anything else he could get his hands on, including my dad's favorite fishing net. The rest of us, amused by his antics, decided to humor him, thinking he'd tire himself out eventually. Little did we know, my brother was about to channel his inner MacGyver and create a contraption that was as elaborate as it was unnecessary. Fast forward to the next morning, and we're all woken up by a series of loud shouts coming from the direction of my brother's masterpiece. We rushed over to find a very disgruntled man tangled up in the trap, his camera swinging precariously from his neck. Apparently, we'd managed to catch not a bear, but a wildlife photographer who somehow confused our campsite with a rare opportunity to capture nature at its most absurd. After the initial shock wore off, the photographer, seeing the humor in the situation, introduced himself as Trevor and asked if he could document the incident as part of his new art series. Needless to say, we agreed, and a few months later, Trevor's exhibition Urban Family Safari opened to rave reviews. It turns out, our family's accidental foray into amateur wildlife defense made for some pretty captivating art. The best part? My brother now insists that his bear trap wasn't a failure, but rather a success of epic proportions. After all, he reasoned, who else can say they've caught a wildlife photographer on camera?